pretty sure I did. And I wrote this just a couple of weeks ago, first part of this month. And I don't title a lot of my little sayings or things that I write. I just write. And I title this one, Content Equals Intent. And so I want to just listen to this. It says, I have said this for 20 plus years, that the Bible is not, big emphasis on it, is not a book or books about a special chosen people or about a religious ideology or belief systems or doctrines. No, it's not about that. That's what every one of us are taught to believe that it's about. Those very things. Who is the special chosen people? The Jews, Israel. What are the doctrines? You basically could say 10 Commandments. Those are things we all taught, and we embrace it, and we have that deeply rooted in us and don't know that we have. There are things that are just there, and it's hard to, I mean, really, you can't get rid of them. They're there. You have them filed away in your filing cabinet called a memory. And there's a lot of things that we don't go back in that filing cabinet and pull the drawer out on memories, because a lot of them, we have them really deeply tucked away. All of us do. I don't care who we are. Things that happen, things that I'd rather forget and not remember and not pull it out. But it's still there. No, it's not about any of these things. It is a thesis about the temple, the house, the home, where the source, power, we have been taught to call it God, lives. So, to say that again, in prefaces, what we are the home, we are the house, we are the temple, we are the tabernacle. We are the place that the source, i.e. God, built to house itself in. We're the home, and the Scripture tells us that. Even though we don't really embrace it that much, but many of us can quote it. Know you not that you are the temple of God. We can quote that, we say that, but sometimes in reality we don't really recognize it, or sometimes we don't remember it that well. So it's a book about the physical anatomy. It's about the biological structure of you and me. The greatest machine, and I do get phone calls about this. People who hear the CDs, pass them out, and these CDs, they have lives of their own, and somebody will get one or hear one somewhere, and it's amazing how they get around. But I had people call me and say, how do you get that the Bible is a book about the physical anatomy? And I said, well, for me, it's not hard at all now. It was hard 20, 25 years ago. I didn't see that. It took a lot of study and a lot of research for me to begin to see that. And I began to see that physical characters represent different organs or different functions in the physical body. And the more I began to see that, the more I could associate what I'm saying. And I realized that's a large hurdle for anybody to come over, not jump over it, crawl over it, or try to climb over it. That's a tough one right there. I know it is. So, but this is how I have learned to view the Scriptures. To see this, or even to think like this, is almost impossible because of the way that we have been taught to view this phenomenal bit of literature that we call the Bible. We have been taught to read it as a history about a source or about this thing we call God or Father. And it's even hard to talk about this source that we call God without seeing this source as a Father. And that's generally how we approach it, Father. I do that myself, consciously and unconsciously. I just approach it that way, Father. And many times, whether it's a contemplation, a thanksgiving, or I'm begging. And I know y'all don't do that. Sometimes I'm begging God, Father, you get really serious. Father, I need help here. We have been taught to read it as a history about this source that we call God, we call it the Father. who created the human race, and then how the human race, disobeyed this father figure and this father figure's plans. So he, the father figure, cursed us. That's really a big one, ain't it? That's a good one. The Father cursed us. And okay, then bless God. You're going to live by the sweaty brow. You women are going to scream and cry having babies. You're going to have hell on earth because you didn't do what I told you to do. So now then the father figure, he's not too happy with you. Finally he says, to hell with all of you. I'm tired of you. I'm going to kill you all. And he says, no, I believe I got a drunk over here. I believe I'll savage him and his family. And his name's Noah. And after he got through all the mess, he got drunk. Now, that's just about as bizarre as anything you can get. If you sat down and you got some real serious thought and you applied it to all of those ideologies that I just told you, to say that a creator would create it, then got mad because y'all couldn't do it, and then said, the heck with you, I'm going to curse you, and then decided, because you ain't even still going to work, I'm going to kill all of you. And we embrace that? I mean, we got some real problems. We got to really think. And here again, this is what I'm talking about. When I say content equals intent, if that's what you get out of this book, the content of this book, no wonder we get the intent that we get. No wonder we think about this source we call God the way we think about it. And so what I have strived to do in the last 20 or so years to reevaluate the content so that I can get the real intent. And that's what I do. That's how I research the Hebrew glyphs. That's how I research the ancient stories. Is I do it that way to find out what is the real content. And I do that because I ask the questions. I'm not afraid to ask questions. And I have asked questions. I have gone before this source, this Father, and just asked questions after questions. I have people who want to introduce different ideas to me, and I'm not afraid of a new idea. But I'm going to ask a lot of questions about it. I'm just not going to accept it, hook, line, and sinker. I'm not gullible. And I don't mean that to be that I'm from Missouri. I ain't never been, well, I've been to Missouri several times, but just because I'm from Missouri don't mean that I'm not going to ask a question. I want to know. I mean, that's been my plight in life. Got me in a lot of trouble with Dave because I wanted to know. And so, until we can redeem, that's my emphasis, until we can redeem this phenomenal story and its original content. And that's my quest right there, to redeem the story and its original content. I am of the opinion, again, this is like belly buttons, everybody's got one. My opinion is just simply this, that I could spend probably the rest of my life in the first 12 chapters of the book of Genesis and never really scratch all that's there. Because I continually uncover stuff. It's like, it just constantly comes out of there for me. So until we can redeem the content, we will not know the intent. And the word intention means plans, it means purposes, it means its meaning or its aim or its design. And so I am one that feels certain that we will find its aim, meaning, and design. And I think that we are scratching diligently at that now, right now, in the things that we're looking at, things that we're doing. So if you have your Bible, if you'll go with me again back to Psalms chapter 8, Psalms chapter 8. I want to read through this a little bit more. Psalms chapter 8. Now, I've been doing this teaching this year, still on it, as a matter of fact, and it's called The Balance of Power. And when I say the balance of power, I'm saying this. I don't think anybody would question that God is all-powerful, that the source is all-powerful. Hardly anybody wouldn't question that at all. They just don't, or we just don't really understand that power. But to say that you are all powerful as God is, now that would be, that ain't no way. And I would stand back and say this, that whatever your world is, you have for the most part of that created it yourself. Whatever it is. And you can blame something, you can blame circumstances and situations, no matter what that you blame or how you blame. You and I are the creator of our world. We have done this. And I say many times, if not most all the time, it's not that somebody did something wrong or did something that they shouldn't have done. They didn't have enough information to assimilate before they did what they did, or they wouldn't have did what they did.
Yeah.
I think if there had been much more information given that could give us a clearer picture to analyze the circumstance by,
Yeah.
then my decisions would have been different.
Amen.
No matter who I am or what my lot in life is. And I don't think anybody didn't come here without design and purpose.
That's right.
Even the lowliest, even the most maybe seemingly not so purposeful. I think everybody has design and purpose. And I don't think that you get it all in this one shot. I don't care if you're here a year or 100 years or more or less. So, and some of this I don't think is that hard to see, even from the translation that we have, even though I use the King James not because of accuracy. It's definitely not accurate. The King James is one of the most inaccurate translations we have. It's also been added and changed. I had a guy call me from up in Kentucky the other day, and he was asking me some questions. He said his questions were, how in the world do I get the medical or analogical or biological things that I get when I read the Scripture? And I said, well, I can't point you to any books. I wish I could, but I can't point you to any books that will help you. I said, I can point you to maybe hundreds of books that you might have to read and draw a little here and a little there and see it. I said, but if there's not any one specific thing that you can look at to say that I see that and I get it. I said, it's just a lot of different things. And so, anyway, he was pleased with that. So I did recommend several books that he could get and read. Psalms chapter 8, and let's start with verse 4. It says, what is man that thou art mindful? You know, and just reading through this, you know, King James translation, because of popularity, I would just encourage anybody, Google King James. Just Google him and see what kind of character he was. And then you will maybe have a little bit better picture to see why this translation was put together the way it was. And the additions. I mean, the additions are almost ridiculous. I told that guy, I said, have you ever read the Gospel of Q? He said, huh? I said, have you ever read the Gospel of Q? Just the letter Q. I said, it means quella in Greek. He said, I never heard of it. I said, you know, that's sad. I said, I bet there's not one out of 1,000 Christians ever heard of the Gospel of Q. I said, the Gospel of Q actually predates Matthew and Mark, because Matthew and Mark don't even date back until the 5th or 6th or 7th century. And everybody thinks that there was somebody back in the very first century writing this down in Matthew and Mark and recording this as it was happening and unfolding. And yet you can read from Philo, who was contemporary with supposedly Jesus, lived in the same town, went to supposedly the same schools, and Philo never heard of Jesus. Only one source that you can get and read from it, and it's a source that's not too reliable. In other words, it's had additions added to it. It has one line in it in a book that's probably 800 to 1,000 pages. It has one line in one sentence that suggests that there was a contemporary character named Jesus. Just that one line. And it's an addition. Everybody knows it's an addition, especially if you do much scholarly research. You know that line was added, put in there for a purpose and for reasons, to try to sell a story, to try to make a story real or true. And I'm not trying to take away from that story, no matter how you embrace it and how you believe what you believe out of it. I'm just saying, if you really want to know what this is about, it's hard to just sit down and pick a translation and read it like it's a storybook. The Gospel of Q was just sayings. It's just like, almost like reading the book of Proverbs without some of the filler that's in it to add to the story. It's just, how many of you ever read the Tao Te Ching? Have you ever read the Tao? 80 something phrases. I think there's 82 phrases. Some of them have three words in a sentence. And they're basically one sentence, hardly any more than 3 or 4 sentences in any of the sayings in the Tao. And that's probably one of the most profound pieces of document that we have available to us. And because it's Hindu or Buddhist, people say, oh God, that's of the devil. And it's not. It's a phenomenal piece of literature. The Gospel of Q are just sayings. And Matthew and Mark both built on those sayings and made stories around those sayings. So now every one of you can go get the Gospel of Q.
When you speak of the Tao Te Ching, of course, he is not really as famous as Confucius, who we have all these famous Confucius sayings, because Confucius didn't want to follow the true path that Lao Tzu was spelling out.
Yeah.
So we hear all the time about Confucius. Confucius was a contemporary that really wasn't even a close contemporary. But that's the one that society, even the Far Eastern society, has led us here.
Well, you know, we have today going on in this country, in the West, especially in America, we have today a watered down, contorted, twisted version of what the Hindu scriptures really say. And we have also gurus here that aren't really gurus, they're gurus that have Americanized much of the ancient literature over there. The same thing's true with this book, especially true with this book called the Hebrew Bible, or the Hebrew Scriptures. We have Americanized it, we've westernized it, we have put our Christian ideologies on top of everything and tried to make it fit certain things. And you know, I made a statement here, I can't remember, 2 or 3 weeks ago, a month ago, 2 months ago, about the word no thing. And you can tell a Christian that this is Maya, or this is an illusion, this is no thing. And in America, we have defined that to mean a certain thing, but over in India, it never meant that. No thing, no/thing, or no/thingness meant really everything. But when you put it over here in America and you say, no thing, it's illusion, you say, oh, it ain't real. That's what I say, you're not real. Touch yourself. You just think you're real, but you're really not real. Folks, that's BS. You're real. And you are really real. Your stuff is real. And you know your stuff is real. And you'd like to do something about your stuff in this real illusionary world. Now you're talking about confused minds, and we can get our minds so confused when we start trying to fit in a lot of this literature that we get, that people write. I'm not trying to put it down on anybody, but I'll put down on my favorite author down. And everybody knows that Alvin Boyd Kuhn is probably my #1 favorite author. At least he's in the top 5 for sure. And I don't agree with a lot. And I'll read things about him and he starts talking about your animal nature. And I just get plumb irate mad at him. I said, Dr. Kuhn, you ought to know better than to think that a human being has an animal nature. A human being has a human nature and a divine nature, but they don't have an animal nature because an animal has an animal nature. Well, they act like an animal. I know it. An animal acts like a bird, like a fish, a fowl. You ever seen 2 chickens fight? I mean, that's a gory fight. So you're going to say just because 2 dogs get in a fight, they're acting just like chickens. No, it's because we have a water nature. Everything in this physical dimension has a water nature, and it's in that water nature. Water always seeks its lowest point. It's that water nature that will always pull you down. That's what you're battling. If you want to fight something, that's what you're fighting, and you're fighting that within yourself, not in somebody or something else that somebody did. And the scriptures tell you that. If we would know how to read them, if we know how to extract the truth out of this phenomenal book. So I'm having a hard time getting past this. But this, what is man, that you are mindful of him? Or the Son of Man, that you have visited him? For thou hast made him. Talking about humankind, that's you and me. Thou hast made humankind a little lower than Elohim. That says angels in the King James translation, but it's actually the Hebrew word Elohim. Elohim is the word that you and I would call God Father. That's exactly what you would call it. Elohim is the word God that's mentioned in the book of Genesis and 1,000 other places in the Old Testament. Elohim is God, and yet they took and put angels there. I could put it this way. You know, angels is a transliterated word from angles. Because there are 12 major angles that build the astrological wheel. And the whole astrological wheel, the 360-degree circle with the 12 signs, that is who the Elohim is. The Elohim is the whole wheel. It's the circle. It's the all in all. It's the all-powerful one. That's what that is. It's not a character with a white beard that has a humanoid body. That you and me think is Father up there, keeping everything and everybody straight. Because he's got seniority, so he just walks around with his hands in his pockets and tells you, y'all do this. No, go down and talk to my son. He'll take care of it for you. We do, don't we? Hey, verse 5, for thou hast made him, talk about humankind, a little lower than the angels. The angels, all of a sudden you see these dudes that's 12, 14, 16 foot tall, got human bodies, but they've got wings, great big wings. I know y'all all saw that movie, Michael. That was a good one. John Travolta did a good job. That was made him a little lower than the angels. And all he's saying is he just made man from these astrological angles. That's where you came from. Because different angles creates different facets of energy. The same energy from 6 to 8 is not the same energy in the morning from 8 to 10. And the energy from 8 to 10 is not the same energy from 10 to 12. Just go out there and just stand in the sun and you'll see. The energy changes. Why? Because the sun is moving through different astrological configurations. And so it changes the energy of it. And it's designed to be that way, by the way. Now, verse 6, thou hast made him, humankind, to have. Now, look what it says. This is talking about you and me. You can put your name right there. I can put my name and I can put, thou hast made Lynn Hayes to have dominion over. Over what? Over the works. And the word works actually is ma'aseh. And actually the word means property. You mean God give me dominion over its property? Absolutely. What is its property? The earth, the moon, the stars, and the entire galaxy. Does that mean I'm powerful? I mean, what are you talking about? That's who you are. You don't believe that. You don't even think that. You think, no, I'm not. God is all that. I mean, help me out with this. Maybe I'm not reading it right. Thou hast made him. Is that you and me? Mm-hmm. Huh? Yep. That's made him. That's you and me. To have what?
Dominion.
What is dominion?
Authority.
It's the authority to rule. It's just exactly like you could say, I own this, this is mine, and I do what I do on it. It belongs to me. That's exactly what it means. That's exactly, he's given him, has made him, you and me, Lynn Hayes, put your name in there, to have dominion over the works. And the word works just simply means God's property, or God's product, or God's business. That's what the word means. I mean, just what it means. And thou hast put all. Is that inclusive or no? Or does that mean some? Does all mean all or no?
Yes.
All.
All what? Put it under all under your foot. Put it all under your foot so that you can walk on it, you abuse it, misuse it. We do. We do ignorantly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it disrespectfully. I'm saying if we have the information, if we were taught the truth out of the start, out of the get-go, we would do a lot of things different. We would make decisions based off that truth, and then we would get different outcomes. But most of it, I'm talking about myself. I come through life, made stupid decisions, didn't have any idea of the things I was doing or my decision I was making. I just thought the right thing to do, felt right at the moment. It wasn't right. I mean, a lot of things, some of the most important decisions that I have ever made, I did that ignorantly. I didn't know. This word dominion, it's the Hebrew word mashal. And the word actually just simply means rule or power. Now I want you to, I'm going to put it up here because I'm going to try to I'm going to talk about the mem. By the way, I didn't have time to do it this morning. I wanted to see how many times in Hebrew you have this is called the mem 40. It has a 40 value. And it actually means water, means materiality, means mother, means matter. All of those names. For instance, if you look up the name Moses, Mem, Shin, Hey, that's his name. That's the spelling. The major part, the first glyph in the name Moses is water. And if you read the story, what's the first thing you read about Moses? He's drawn up out of water. The story of Moses is the story of your life that's divided into 3 different divisions. Same story. And it's a story about 40. 40 means to be tested or to be proven. It does not mean to be seduced or deceived. That's what we're taught. Well, God's going to test you. He's just going to see if you do it or not. That's not what the word means. The word means I'm going to prove that this thing I built will work, and the only way I can prove it will work is I'm going to put it through this test. That's what the word means. It doesn't mean to seduce. Doesn't mean he's going to try to deceive you. It doesn't mean he's going to lure you. I'm going to put this little naked woman out there in front of him and just see what he does. See if he's got enough guts or character to tell her no. That's dumb. That is totally dumb. That's not what the word means in Hebrew, to test or to prove. It means to take a water pipe and to put it together and then put water pressure on it to see if it has any leaks. That's all it's just going to see. Just wire this house, throw the power to it, make sure everything's working. And that's exactly what God built you and me, throw the power to us and said, okay, works fine. We just don't know how to work it. That's just it. We don't know how to work it. We're all powerful and don't know we're all powerful. We have been built and designed to do all, put it all under us and have dominion over it, but we don't know how. And people get upset about it. Well, it's ignorant. Ignorant just simply means a lack of knowledge. I didn't say stupid. We're not stupid, huh? Hello. I'm not stupid. You're not stupid. Don't take advantage of me and think I'm stupid. I'm not stupid. But I'm ignorant. It's just a lot of things I don't know. And I don't know how to do it. I want to. And I want to find out. So, you see these glyphs. These are important glyphs. These 2 characters right here are very important. And they do look a lot alike. And this is the mem final. It has a 600 value. And this is a mem dual or duality. And it looks like our cursive G. Capital G. That's that. This is like a box with a little ear on the edge of it. So they do have a lot of similarity, but both of them means water. Now, if I wanted to spell the word water in Hebrew, it's mentioned 10 times in Genesis chapter 1. If I wanted to spell the word water, I'd just put this glyph right here between that. That's called the yod, and that word would be mayim. That's the word for water. It takes these two characters, the two Hebrew glyphs, puts a yod in the middle of them. A yod is this. A yod is a male and a female. So the value of the yod is 10. It's where God, as the androgynous one, God as androgynous, both male and female, split itself off so that it could create you and me. That's biological. All these glyphs, they're biological, they're anatomical. When you know how to start putting them together, then you start to say, okay, I see this, I see what this is. So, this word dominion, the very first glyph in it, it has to do with water. It's the Mem 40. And then it has to do with fire or breath, which is the Sheen, which has a 300 value. And then it has the Lamed, which is the tallest glyph, and it means to be a teacher or to be able to teach or learn. Because in Hebrew, you remember when you were 30-year-old, then you were old enough to become a teacher or a priest or whatever. So that's called the Lamed. So that word right there is the word for dominion. And it has the very first glyph in it, it has to do with water. And dominion, you think of dominion, you think of power, do you not? So that's why I'm talking about the balance of power. If you can't balance the power of your materiality with the power of your spirituality, we will live chaotic. And we do. We do. Why? We just haven't learned to balance the power. Because the more we learn to balance the power, the more we will be able to take that power and do something about it, do something with it. This word, water, mayim. Now I want you to watch this. This is almost a pet peeve of mine. This is the word for water. Let me just put that up here on this side, water. That's how you spell water in Hebrew. Mem, yod, mem. Then all I have to do is put fire and breath on the front of it with a sheen. That's a 300, that's what that is. That's fire and breath. All I got to do is put that one glyph on that word, and now here's the word I've got now. Heaven. Heaven. Does heaven have anything to do with water? That's exactly what heaven is. Heaven is the balance of the waters from above and the waters from below. The waters from the above are divine, they're spiritual. The waters from below are material, they're human. And that's where it's at. Heaven is the balancing of the power of God that's in you, that created you, that you are. Now, and that's something, you would never ever guess that when you read Genesis 1, in the beginning, Barashit, Bara Elohim, in et Shamayim, heaven. Right out of the first 4 words is the balance of the power of water and spirituality. But we have never seen that. You know why? Because they always told you heaven was somewhere you're going to get to go to if you're good. If you're not bad, if you're not naughty, if you're good. If you ain't good, you don't get to go there, right? If you ain't good, where are you going to go?
Hell.
Huh?
Hell.
Hell? Oh, Beverly. Hell. Ooh. So if you're not good, you go to hell. If you're good, you go to heaven. Heaven, heaven, heaven.
And if you're not quite good enough, you go to purgatory till your family pays you.
That's right.
Oh, yeah, till your rich uncle comes by and bails you out. That's exactly right. That's how that works. Okay, let me read you this note here. I've kind of worked at. There is a similar mega identity that formed all that we see, including ourselves. This mega identity would simply be Elohim. We call it God, okay? We are ultimately holograms of a far greater intelligence. How many of you think that God is intelligent? I see, yeah, all of you. You reckon God is intelligent? You think God knows? Well, of course He does. I mean, we'd be foolish to think God don't know. I mean, if God don't know, if God's not intelligent, if God did not build an intelligent design, we're in trouble. And I think we're in trouble. And look around. I've been looking around. And I thought, oh my God, look at the beliefs that we have embraced and got ourselves familiar with and hold on to them. Yes, God is intelligent. God is very intellectual. God is very intellectual, knowing everything from the beginning to the end. And if it doesn't, then in my book and in my opinion, it ain't God. Now, if yours is different from that, that's fine. You can tell me about it, and you're going to have to really prove it to me, but I'm not sure if I can accept it. But I'll listen. We are ultimately holograms of a far greater intelligence that created the universe. Separation is, listen to this, an illusion. No. Separation, God had to separate itself from itself or you wouldn't be. And you being don't make you an illusion. Even though many times that's what we think we are. But separation is our protection. And I'm going to show you why and what I mean by that. Because separation being our protection is what lets us be in this dimension we call time, that many people say, well, time is just an illusion. And I say, no, time is an aspect of the creative energy of the source. God created time for you and me to play in. And it's given to us as a wonderful gift if we understand more about it. But we've never been taught much, so we don't know much about it. But we all, hey, don't think that I don't know that you're not subject to time. Every one of us is subject to time, aren't we? The clock is ticking. Yeah, just look in the mirror and you see what I'm saying. So separation is a protection for the purpose of the Creator knowing itself. How does it know itself? It knows itself in you, through you, and by you. Consciousness interconnects all things. If we do not perceive ourselves as truly being one with everything and everyone, we are still living. We're living in this illusion. Now, I would say that is true. We are living in an illusion if we think that we're not one. But we are one. But yet we are not. See, that's the conundrum. We are one with everything around us, whatever it is. Because everything around us is just like us. It comes from the source. And we're one with that source. But if it's protection is where separation comes in at. And a lot of people would, in misunderstanding Hindu philosophy, they would make that an illusion, saying it's not real. You can take many forms and many lifetimes through multiple dimensional levels or densities to fully shake off the amnesia of our remembering who and what you really are. And I think one hurdle that we have to get past is to think that the physical body, which is separate on purpose, is a prison for spirit soul. I say that's a lie. You're not a prison. You're a house. You're a home. However, if you think you're a prisoner in there, you're a prisoner. It goes back as you think you are. So if your thinking says I'm a prisoner here and I can't break free. I know I've felt like a prisoner sometimes. I've felt like a prisoner of my own thinking. I mean, I've had thoughts that just come, boy, oh my God. You know, woe is me. All hell come loose on me. You know, people who have all kinds of different issues in life, it's just those thoughts just bombard us, don't they? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you think, I'm just a prisoner to these things. No, you're not. The thing about that is we need to reverse that and realize I'm not a prisoner to anything. I am free. And my freedom, it's like, what was that guy's name out in California that wrote all them children's books? Was it Tukey? Was it Tukey? Seemed like it was Tukey, I can't remember. It was just like, well, Nelson Mandela. He was in prison for 20-something years, and he didn't go in there as though he was, oh, they had his body locked up. But that's all. That's all they had locked up, his body. I think it was Tukey. He's on death row. He was on death row for something like 20 or 26 years and started writing children's books from death row. Writing children's book from death row, and his books become New York Times bestsellers. So millions. He become a multi-millionaire sitting out in California in prison on death row, been on death row for 20-something years. Till finally his number come up and they killed him. But in the meantime, he redeemed his time. Yes, his body was incarcerated, his mind and his ability was not. And he wrote phenomenal books that helped kids all over the world to break free from a lot of things that put him there in that place. I think his name is Tukey.
Mandela didn't sit and dwell on the fact that racism had put him in prison. He continued to sit and envision the future that he was so much a part of when he was released.
Yes, absolutely.
He
Exactly.
didn't sit there and go, oh, damn it, I'm in prison because I'm black.
It's like this, and here, this is where, to me, this is where a conundrum lies, and it's hard to see it, but I saw it. I saw this so clearly several months back. I wrote notes on it, and somewhere I wrote notes on it. I don't know where it might be. I have so many of these things that I wrote notes on it 2 months ago. This source that we call God, I'm going to put God up there. Source, power, Father, anything, Creator. You put it in one of your favorites in there. The thing about this source, this God, this Creator, is number one, it's timeless. Time has no effect on it whatsoever. It's not getting older, it's not getting younger. It just simply is. It's not in time. It's timeless. And here's what the thing did. This timeless one, it's timeless. It's timeless. So it doesn't ever get older. Period. It's just timeless. It's like the circle. It has no beginning, it has no ending. It's just forever. It's forever. As the word, it's eternal. There you go. It's eternal. Timeless. However, so that it could experience itself, see itself, feel itself, taste itself, smell itself, love itself, it split itself from itself. And by splitting itself from itself, created itself in time. And the stories of Jesus says, I'm in the world, just not of it. But I'm in it. So the source, timeless, deposited itself in time so that it would have a future and it would have a past. And by it having a future and it having a past, its past was as important as its future. Because if it didn't have its past, it couldn't remember how to get to its future. That makes sense to you? It's just exactly like this. If you didn't have a past, you won't remember how to get back home. So if you're trying to do away with your past and destroy it and get rid of it, you ain't going to find your way back home. That's in your memory banks. Because your memory banks are all in your past. Now I admit, I have a lot of stuff back there that I'd sure like to get rid of, but I can't get rid of it. It's mine, I own it, I did it. But it's in my past, it's there. So what I do with it? Well, I can leave it there, and one of the greatest things you can do with it is forgive yourself and forgive it, and let it know that. But don't try to get rid of it. Don't try to say, well, it didn't happen. It did happen. I did that. You know, we was riding up Doug Gap Road here, just Danny and I, this past week, And we went by a place, some houses, several houses. We went by these houses, and boom! I hadn't thought of this in 40 plus years, 45 years. Didn't even know that I remember that. Boom, we went by this place, and there that house was, and I remember the trouble that I got into, and the trouble that I was in, and the things I did right there at that house, and hadn't thought of it in 45 years. And just like a light, it come right back on. You think I'd gotten rid of it? No. It's just exactly. See, I used to go to the prison and speak to the prisoners. Did it for years. And used to take Danny with me. Took Danny into some of the lockup places. And you know, you go into a lockup with everybody in there's done murder. They done killed hundreds of people. Some of them killed 10 or 15, in time. And you go in there and these are just good old boys. They found redemption. Many of them have found true redemption. Many of them are redeemed men. Many of them. I'm not saying anything good about any one of them. I said this about them. The only difference in you and me is you got caught and I didn't. That doesn't mean that I done things worse or not as bad as you did or whatever. If you did something you shouldn't have done, then you can categorize it if you want to. It's still something you should have done. We drove by that place and all of a sudden, I mean, tell you, memory popped right back up there. That was my past. Still in the filing cabinet. But you know what I did? 40-something years ago, I fell on my face and I said, God, I need help. I need help bad. And guess what? The source come there and I found help. I let that go. I paid a penalty for it, whatever that was. Nevertheless, I didn't even realize I remembered it. Didn't even realize until that happened. That was my past. Everybody has that. A lot of things you don't want to remember, but you still have it. What we have to do is own that. I have to own that I did. I have a future. This is a spiritual aspect. This past is my soul. This future is my spirit. See, the spirit knows and can see. The soul remembers and knows. Both of them, spirit and soul, are both designed of God to do specific tasks, each by themselves. The spirit is not your soul. The soul is not your spirit, but they are like the two sides of one coin. They do work corporately together. But there's just a humongous problem in the teaching that people think that they're the same thing. They're not the same thing. The spirit never, it's not locked into your past. This is where time exists. That's the horizon. That's the cross. That's where it's built. The time is built on a past and a future, and it's only made active by the present moment, right now. Because right now is where it's important. 5 minutes ago is not that important. 5 minutes from now ain't that important, because I can manipulate 5 minutes from now and be whatever I want it to be. I can change it. I can move it around and make it different. But I can't do that. What happened 5 minutes ago, it did. It was what it was, said what it said. Can't bring it back. Oh God, I wish I could. Have you ever had that? Oh Lord, I shouldn't have said that. I know, but I did. Yeah, we shouldn't have said it, but we did. Now, go with me to the book of, I got way off my path here. I don't even know where my notes was at that I was going. Go with me to the book of Genesis. I said we'll stay forever in the book of Genesis. It's just meant to be that way. Genesis chapter 2. Verse 7, Genesis 2:7. I want to read quite a bit here, and then we'll. Genesis 2:7. Let me read you this note here I wrote day before yesterday. Our journey here on earth can be one of three choices. You know, in Deuteronomy, God says, I set before you life and death. You can almost say, I set before you your future and your past. I said, and guess what the next word was? I set before you life and death. What's the next word? Y'all remember that. Choose. Oh, you mean it's my turn? That's exactly what God meant. God said, okay, I'm going to do this. It's your turn. Oh, okay. Now what I do? I just stand there ignorant. Oh, say it again. I didn't get it. It went by me too quick. Say it again. Say it again. Oh, Father, help me out here. You want me to choose? You want me to decide which one I want? I want chocolate or vanilla. Yeah. Oh, I like them both. Choose. Make a choice. Well, that's life. That's life. Life is time. Life's not just the present moment. The present moment is what causes time to be alive. Without the present moment, there is no life in the past. There is no life in the future. It's the present moment that makes time live. And it's designed to be that way. Our journey here on earth can be one of three choices. Number one, it can be neutral, where you get nothing or very little from it. How is that? That's where people choose not to choose. Yeah. Oh, I know. Oh, I know a lot of us choose not to choose. What you gonna do? Where you gonna be? What you gonna? Well, I just don't know. I just can't make up my mind.
There's a line from a song by the band Rush that says, if you choose not to decide, you still have made a choice.
Absolutely. That's a choice. It is a serious choice. So that's number one. Neutral. Number two, it can be held because of all of the pain that you inflict upon, that has been inflicted upon you, or that you draw to yourself. That's what real hell is. It's where I have put myself in the situation and circumstances, and now I have to live in it. Who done that? Oh, it's like I used to say, well, my big brother put me up to that. My big brother told me to go in there and steal that stuff. And I did. I had a choice. I had a choice. So you do it yourself, Richard. But I did. And created my own hell. Can't blame nobody. Did it for myself. Number three, it can be heaven on earth because you wake up to your true purpose and your design. So, sort of like I said, I put this out for you. That's basically what God said. I put this out for you. What do you want? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? You want to be stuck where you're at? I mean, sometimes that just really gets under my craw. I just, bless God, get unstuck. I mean, sometimes I say to people, I feel like, and I know God's saying the same. Lynn, bless God, get unstuck. I used to do that with my grandkids. I did it really bad with my kids. Trying to make them and I realized, that don't work, folks. They're going to do what they're going to do. But you have to remember this. Sometimes you are the only book that somebody's going to read. And if you think people aren't reading your book, think again. So if you're the book that people are reading, you have to be cognitive of that. You've got to think about that. If you are being information that people is reading, and I know that's true, even the Apostle Paul says, follow me as I follow Christ. If I'm not following Christ, don't follow me. See, if I'm not doing the thing, if I'm not living the thing that God has taught me to live, if I'm not living in the place, don't follow me. We don't live by destroying life. We in the past were fighting the devil. We were fighting Satan. How many of you remember that? I remember I used to teach that. I mean, I'd go back 25 and 30 years, and I'd get men down here at this place, and we'd go out there and shandala and chase the devil and cast him out and throw him over into outer darkness and yeah. Bless God. After about an hour, I'm all wore out, so we beat the hell out of the devil. And then, guess what? I had the revelation. I got the revelation. I got the picture. I looked in the mirror. I said, oh my God, you're the devil. Oh, you mean the one in the mirror? Yeah, that one in the mirror. Oh, I can't catch it. Yeah, all you got to do is look at it. Yeah, that's exactly how we did. We were just going to fight the devil and beat him up and do all this, that, and the other to him, and then I realized it was myself.
Yes.
It was me.
There you go.
So now we think we must fight myself. Who is myself? My ego? Yeah. My soul? Yeah. Because yourself, your ego, your soul, that's all the same thing. It's not something to fight. It's something to embrace and train.
That's it.
It's something to embrace and train. It's something to love. It's just like a child. It's longing for instructions. It comes here with that ability. This soul, it has that ability to remember, remember, put back together. Put it back together. It has, the soul has that. The soul, the ego, the self, the I, me, all the same. All synonyms. But yet we get into some schools of thought, we want to kill certain parts of that. It's like killing parts of yourself. You don't want to do that. I mean, dear God, you get rid of your, you don't want to get rid of your taste, do you? I don't. You want to gouge your eyeballs out because they looked at something they should have looked at? You know, you're going to poke them out? You think that's exactly what God meant for you? Do you think that's what the Scripture was saying? God said, poke you out. Cut your arm off. Cut your right one or your left off. It ain't going to do good. Now you're going to look like a fool, aren't you? Poked out eyeballs and one arm gone. You might want to chop a leg off too. You're going the wrong direction. Mutilate your body. There you go. The very house God built. So we think that we have to fight all these things. No. No. That is not what we are designed for. That's not the dominion that God intends for us to have. That dominion is based off of the information that God is making available to us, and that we do something with that information. We take that information and we apply that information. We're going to put that information out there where God can get the greater good. All right, go with me. I'm really rambling on, aren't I? Help me. Go with me to Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. And by the way, I counted the mems, these two mems, in the first 8 verses of Genesis. These two mems, Mem 40 and Mem 600, both of them are used together or separately, in either case. Both of them deal with materiality. Both of them. They both deal with water. Balancing the power of water. Balancing the power of your material, natural, your spiritual, divine. Only you can do that. And when we begin to balance that power, then we become all-powerful. When those powers are out of balance, because they're both powerful, the power of the material can pull us into a deep hole. And it does. It does. It's not on purpose, it's on design. It's designed to be that way. So I counted these meals in the Hebrew. I just looked up my Hebrew Bible, my Torah. 32 of these characters in the first 8 verses of Genesis. 32. I was going to count all the way to verse 32 just to see how many times Mem is used in those first 32 verses. And I said, oh, this is going to take all day just to do that. So I give up that task. But I am going to do that. 32 times just in 8 verses. So I'm going to say this Mem's going to be probably over 100, 200 times just in that first chapter. Just that one glip. That's how important that glip is. You know, it's that important. And it deals with your material body. Your material body is not a mistake. It's a purposeful design. And I want you to see that this is what it's designed for. I'm fixing to show you. Verse 7. And God formed man of the dust of the ground, breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden. Eastward means inward. When you see something, you know, like the sun is rising in the east, actually it's referring to the rising of the sun in you. Eastward, inward, inside you. That's where the light comes on. That's what I pray is happening for us, that the light's coming on. Oh, I see that. What did you see? I don't know, but I saw it. Hopefully it was information that was coming alive to you. Eastward in Eden. The word Eden means time, duration. Time and duration. That's what the Greek, the Hebrew word Eden means. Time. So where has God planted you? God has planted a garden. The word garden is the Hebrew word gan. And the word gan means a protected place. So God has protected itself in time in you. Inward. That's what that means in Hebrew. Verse 8, it says, "And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there He put the man whom He had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that's pleasant to the sight, good for food, the tree of life in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil." That's and. That's not two trees, that's a tree. The root system and the trunk system. One's seen, one's unseen. The life is not seen, the knowledge is seen. It's just that simple. You can't see the roots of that tree where the life is at because it's an unseen dimension. Can't see the roots of your life. Why? Because it's in the unseen dimension. It comes from the Spirit. But I can see the fruits of your life, and that's called the knowledge. It's just knowledge. I can see it, I can know. You understand? That's just one tree. It's not two trees. It's two separate trees going here. That's what religion's trying to get you to go. Which one of them two trees you going to go eat at? Oh, that little snake slithered up there and said, "Oh, eat that apple off that tree." There ain't no apple tree here. They ain't there. You won't find one. If you find an apple tree anywhere in here, let me know. I had to change my whole message, but it ain't there. There's no apple tree there. Tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the tree of life. Verse 10, "And a river." Everybody say a river.
River.
A river went out of Eden. A river went out of time. Listen to that. To do what? To water the garden. To water the protected place. "And from thence was it parted, and it became into 4 heads." Everybody say 4. All right, the 4 always deals with the material, matter, always fire, earth, air, and water, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen. That is Jehovah. That's what Jehovah is. Jehovah is a made-up name, probably more by Christianity than anybody else. It's not. There ain't no Jehovah in the Bible. There's Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh was translated the Lord, Kurios, by the Greek, Kurios, which didn't Sarah call Abram Lord? So who is the Lord? It's you. You're the Lord of your ship. You're the Lord of your vessel. You're the Yod-Heh-Vav-Heh. Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen. You're the fire, earth, air, and water. You are it. This is what it's talking about. This is these 4 rivers. This river parted went for water to water the whole garden. You are. That's you. You're the protected place. The name of the first was Pison. That which comes the whole land. Oh gosh, my Bible is so wrote up I can't see it. The whole land of Havilah where gold. Verse 12. "And the gold of that land good. There is bdellium and the ox stone." And the name of the second river is Gihon. And the same, it encompasses the whole land of Ethiopia. And since they put that word Ethiopia in there, do you know what these brilliant archaeologists and scriptural sages did? They went over to Ethiopia to try to find this. Oh yeah, ain't found it to this day. They can't find it. There ain't no 4 rivers there. There ain't no 4 rivers there. They said, "Wow, we got a problem. I wonder where them other trees at. I think it may have found 2. Oh, I see that. Maybe there's a gully over there that used to be a river there, and now it's all sand's filled it up. It ain't there no more." That's the dumbest thing we could have ever done and we bought it hook, line, and sinker when all they were talking about here is mythology. It is a fabulous story that once you start to see the truth of this story, it will light the fire inside you and you will see, oh my God, that's referring to me. These 4 rivers are flowing inside me. These 4 rivers, and I'm just going to disconnect here because I'm going to spend some time on these 4 rivers, the names, the places, the gold, the stones, all of the things about it, and show you how valuable, how precious, how God created you to be the marvelous creature that you are. And I'm going to close by reading this statement right here. But life in us manifests at 4 levels of consciousness. The 4 streams into which the river divides in Genesis is Gihon, Pison, Hiddekel, and Euphrates. In man, these are. Now I want you to get this, I want you to hear this. Because these rivers have significance to these things. Not only that, the four major fluids that are in your physical body. And your body has 4, amazingly, your body has 4 major fluids in it to make it work, to make your body function. It's got 4 fluids. But it also, listen to this. These are, here's the 4. Sensation, emotion, thought, and spirituality. To follow life's drive, then, the mortal must come to know the multifarious intricacies of the operation in vast interrelationship of these 4 streams of his conscious life. And this is where, when you get into spirituality, you're going to have to get into psychology. Because the psyche deals very much with your soul and your ability to remember. That's where Carl Jung really changed the world as far as our psychological being. Carl Jung was brilliant. Not only was that, Carl Jung was an extremely spiritual man. He had the largest spiritual library of anybody in the world. I think his library is still phenomenal, intact. Best of my knowledge, I think a lot of people want to buy it, but nevertheless, he's been dead, what, probably 100 years, or give or take, I'm not sure, maybe 70-something years. Carl Jung. This information that we see here, we begin to see that we are the garden, the Gan, in Eden, in time, because the timeless one lives inside you, not in your time, but in time. There to give you life, to bring your past into the moment, and to bring your future into the moment, so that you and me can get the best out of it. I mean, it's all for that. It's all for our greater good. God is here to see that we enjoy our journey for our greater good. Amen? Okay, I will pick up here. Like I said, this is just kind of a scratch to scratch, but it's still balancing of powers.